Good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to start a new topic, Introduction to Survey. Now, we are going to learn uh, some of the objectives in this class. So, the first objective is to learn what is the concept of surveying, and further, we are going to learn what is the purpose of surveying. So, in this class, we are going to discuss in detail about concept of surveying, purpose of surveying, different types of surveys based on different classifications. So let us start today's class. First of all, we will learn what is the difference between plan and a map. So we might have seen so many plans and maps. And now we will learn what is plan and what is map. This diagram shows a campus layout plan. And if you observe this, this cannot be called as a plan. This is a map. So how it is distinguished, we will learn now. So this is also showing different districts in state of Andhra Pradesh. So this is also a map. So how do we prepare these plans and maps? First of all, we have to determine horizontal distances, vertical heights, and by determining relative positions of points and ground, we can uh, draw these plans and maps. So initially, we have to know what is surveying. So it is defined as art of determining relative positions of points on the surface of Earth in horizontal or vertical plane. So here it is defined as art of determining relative positions of a point. So the relative positions may be horizontal distances or vertical distances or angles, anything. So we will find the relative position of a point on the surface of a Earth. So this comes under surveying. It also includes the art of establishing points on the surface of the Earth. We not only find, we not only determine the relative position, we also establish different points on the surface of the Earth in surveying. So this is done by predetermined angular and linear measurements. Earlier days, surveying refers to land surveying only. Actually, every engineering projects needs surveying. So in olden days, we used to call surveying as land surveying. But nowadays, in every engineering project, any engineering project like construction of dams, construction of roads, railways, bridges, anything, any civil engineering project, first of all, we have to go for surveying. And we have a concept called leveling. So leveling is a branch of surveying. We have so many branches in surveying. So leveling is one of the branch in which we will find the relative heights of points below or above the earth's surface. Whereas relative position means it is surveying, relative heights means it is leveling. And this we will learn in the subsequent chapters. In general, surveying includes leveling. We will see what some of the engineering projects which need surveying. Water supply projects. Water supply projects includes water treatment plants, establishments of plants, and supply of water from the plants to the public. Railroads and irrigation schemes. Irrigation schemes includes dams, canals, etc. So here we have to do surveying whether the structure is feasible or not. Then we have to construct the structure. Again, we have to do surveying for taking levels for canals, canal construction, etc. And for transmission lines, for the construction of bridges, buildings, mines. In all these engineering projects, we have to go for survey initially. So the main objective of surveying is to prepare a plan or a map. We just now learned what is surveying. It is art of determining relative positions of points above or below the Earth's surface. And the primary objective of surveying is to prepare a plan or a map. We'll do surveying, and finally by using the results of surveying or by getting some values, we'll draw a plan or a map so that it represents the area on a horizontal plane. So plan or a map, which means it represents the area on a horizontal plane. Plan or a map. It is the horizontal projection of an area. We will do some survey, we will get some values. These values are incorporated on a two-dimensional paper, so which is called a horizontal projection of an area, and it shows only the horizontal distances of the points. We will see some of the major differences between plan and map. We might have come across these words many times, but still we need to distinguish plan and map very clearly. Plan means it includes small areas, so it refers to a small area, whereas map refers to a larger area. So it is like we cannot draw a map for a small area like a village, a small area like a school building or a playground, etc. If we, that is called, suppose if we have drawn, that is called a plan because the area is very small. For larger areas, we will call it as map, just like Indian map, district maps, state maps, etc. Here we have to understand the second point: large scale and small scale. Plans are drawn to large scale compared to maps. Large scale means that there is a difference between large scale and small scale. Small scale means large distances is shown as smaller values, just like 1 is to 100, 1 is to 1000. In this, 1 is to 1000 is small scale, where we will show 1000-meter distance as 1 meter on a map. So we cannot use large scales in the map. So when we compare scales for plan and map, it is large for plans, it is small for maps. So for example, we can say plan of a building, plan of a bridge, etc. Maps having some examples like map of India, Telangana, etc. Now we will see what is the purpose of surveying. The purpose of surveying is to take measurements so as to determine the relative positions of existing features on the ground. It is not only to find the relative positions, but we can use surveying to establish different points on the ground. And surveying can be used to determine areas, volumes, and other related quantities. It can be used to prepare plans, maps, and detailed map plans. And it is used to prepare topographical maps showing the details of hills, valleys, and rivers. These are all the the objectives of survey. And we will see the primary divisions of surveying. Surveying is primarily divided in two categories: geodetic surveying and plane surveying. Geodetic surveying is a surveying in which Curvature of the earth is considered, whereas in plane surveying, we will not consider the curvature of the earth. So curvature means shape of the earth. When shape of the earth is taken into consideration, it is called geodetic survey. All lines lying on the surface are curved and triangles or spherical triangles. For works of larger magnitude and high degree of precision, means for larger areas and high degree of precision, we have to do geodetic survey. In brief, if we take earth curvature into consideration, it is called geodetic survey. Objective of geodetic survey. The objective is to determine the precise position on the surface of the earth of a system of widely distant control points. So with this, we understand that for larger areas and for larger magnitude surveying and for precise work, we will use geodetic surveying. Whereas in plane surveying, the curvature of the earth is neglected. So it extends over a small area. So when we are doing a survey in small areas where we can exempt or we can neglect the curvature of the earth, so which is called plane surveying. Most of the engineering surveys are carried out over small areas. Therefore, we will use plane surveying in this type. Majorly, we have two types of measurements. We can classify all the measurements into two categories: linear measurements, angular measurements. Linear means we have two types again: horizontal distances and vertical distances. Linear measurement refers to distance. It may be in horizontal plane or in vertical plane. Angular measurements refers to angles. So it may be a horizontal angle or vertical angle. So these are the two basic type of measurements: linear and angular. Horizontal distance means it is measured in horizontal plane. If the distance is measured along a slope, it is to be reduced to its horizontal equivalent. Because if we measure to the slope, we will get slope distance. We have to reduce it to the horizontal equivalent. Vertical distance means it is measured along direction of gravity to the direction of gravity to determine the difference in elevations of various points. So it refers to vertical plane. The distances refers to vertical plane are called vertical distances, and it refers to horizontal plane. It is called horizontal distance. Coming to angular measurements, we have horizontal angle and vertical angle. Horizontal angles are measured between two lines in horizontal plane, whereas vertical angle means angle between any two lines measured in vertical plane. We have different units of measurements for linear measurements. Let us see. The unit is meter. As far as possible, length should be expressed in millimeters or kilometers. The area is expressed in square meters, acres, hectares, or square kilometers. We will see some of the conversions which we will use in surveying. So these conversions should be remembered. These are very useful for future purpose. We have some multiples and submultiples of unit meter. We'll see some of those things. 1 decameter means 10 meters. 1 hectometer indicates 100 meters. We know 1 kilometer means 1000 meters. We have some submultiples. 1 decimeter means 1 by 10 meters. 1 centimeter means 1 by 100 meters. 1 millimeter means 1 by 1000 meters. Often we are required to measure area and volume also. So we have some of the conversions for area and value. 1 acre means 100 square meters. 1 hectare means 10,000 square meters. 1 square kilometer means 1 crore, no, 10 lakh square meters. So volume is expressed in cubic meters. These are the sum of conversions. As we have already discussed, in addition to the linear, we have angular measurements. Now let us see their conversions. We know already 1 degree is 60 minutes. 1 minute means 60 seconds. Basic unit for angle is degree. Now, till now we have learned the different types of measurements, linear and angular. Now we will see which instrument helps us to take the linear measurements. So in linear measurements, we have two types again, horizontal distance, vertical distance. Some of the instruments used to take horizontal distance are chain, tape, tachometer, EDM. EDM means electronic distance measurement. See, these are some of the instruments which we use to take the horizontal distance. We use leveling instruments, tachometer, and theodolite to take the vertical distances. Similarly, we have instruments for taking angular measurements. Horizontal angles can be taken with the help of magnetic compass, theodolite, and box extents. Vertical angles can be measured with the help of theodolite, sextant, and clinometer. Here, magnetic compass is the instrument which can measure only horizontal angles. We can observe here one thing, that theodolite can measure horizontal angles as well as in vertical angles. So far we have classified primary divisions of surveying. We have learned what are the primary divisions, geodetic surveying and plane surveying. We have learned the units of measurements for angular and linear measurements. And we have also learned what are the different instruments used to take linear and angular measurements. With this knowledge, we can go to the classification of surveying. The classification of surveying is based on nature of field survey, and it is also based on the object of survey. We will discuss the first classification, which is based on nature of field survey. We have land surveys, hydrographic surveys, astronomical surveys, topographical surveys, cadastral survey, city survey. These are the different types of surveys in the classification based on field survey. We will discuss one after another in detail. Land survey includes measurement of horizontal distances, vertical distances, angles of different civil engineering structures. Hydrographic or marine survey means it refers to the surveys undertaken in the sea or on the sea. Astronomical refers to the survey of sky. So cadastral survey means locating the boundaries of different areas. That is called cadastral surveys. City surveys are carried out for identifying drainage lines, sewerage lines, etc. in a city. We'll discuss what is a topographical survey in detail. It consists of horizontal and vertical location of certain points by linear and angular measurements. It deals with determination of natural features like hills, valleys, rivers, and lakes. And it determines artificial features like roads, dams, railways, canals, villages, etc. And it also includes the preparation of contour maps. Cadastral survey, it deals with taking additional details like boundaries of fields, houses, and other properties in a given area. The cadastral survey, for example, to fix the boundaries of municipalities, states, etc., we will carry out the cadastral survey. City survey means it deals with preparation of layout of plots, planning and construction of streets, design of water supply and sewerage schemes. These things will come under city survey. Hydrographic surveys includes navigation. Navigation means route finding, and then water supply and harbor works. This comes under hydrographic surveys. Along with this, locating shorelines, estimation of water flow, determination of shape of areas beneath the water surface. These things comes under hydrographic survey. Whereas astronomical survey includes, it offers the surveyor means of determining the absolute location of any point or line on the surface of Earth. It consists in observations to the heavenly bodies. Now we have another classification of survey which is based on nature of object of survey. Based on nature of object of survey, surveying is further divided into archaeological survey, geological survey. Archaeological survey, the purpose is to find the unearthing relics of antiquity. Geological survey, it is the purpose is to determine different strata in the earth's crust. Mine survey, the objective of mine surveying is to explore mineral wealth like gold, coal, petroleum, etc. So we have to find different locations of minerals where it can be available. And we have military surveys. These surveys are useful for finding the routes and points of strategic importance. And we have engineering surveys. It deals with the collection of data necessary for designing of engineering works like roads, railways, reservoirs, etc. And further, the engineering survey is subdivided into reconnaissance survey, preliminary survey, and location survey. These are the important surveys which we have to understand very clearly. What is reconnaissance survey? For any project, before starting, we have to check the feasibility, whether the project is feasible or not. So the reconnaissance survey is conducted to determine the feasibility and rough cost of the scheme. So it is done by just inspecting the area and using minor instruments if necessary. We have to collect some basic data regarding the project, which may give us a rough idea about the feasibility of the project. So this is called a reconnaissance survey. It refers to the first stage of engineering survey. And then the second stage is preliminary survey. These surveys are used for collecting more precise data by using necessary instrument. In reconnaissance survey, we have done a rough estimate and we have used some minor instruments for the approximate amount of to collect the approximate amount of data. Once the feasibility of the work is okay, then we have to go for the second stage, which is preliminary survey. In this, we have to use more precise instrument to collect precise data. It is to choose best location for the work, and this survey is conducted to estimate exact quantities and costs. So it refers to the detailed project report. And finally, we have location survey. These surveys are used for setting out the works on the ground. from data collected and plans prepared in the preliminary surveys. So we can say this is last stage of the project where all the data collected are setting out on the field. So the data collected may be in the form of plans. So these plans are to be executed in the field. So this indicates a location survey. So far we have also learned the classification of surveying based on different objects. We have classification based on nature of field survey. We have classification based on object of surveying. And now we will learn classification of survey based on instruments used for surveying. We'll classify the survey further by using the instruments used for survey. We have chain survey, compass survey, leveling survey, plane table survey, theodolite survey, tachymetric survey, photogrammetric survey, EDM survey, etc. So these are the basic surveys based on instruments used in the survey. Chain survey, it is the simplest form of surveying. Chain is used to take linear measurements, and linear measurements can also be taken with chain or tape. In this, no angular measurements are taken. It is only used to take the linear measurements. By using chain, we can measure horizontal distances, areas, volume, etc. It is preferred when high accuracy is not required. So it is not a precise method of taking linear measurements. Then we have compass survey. Compass is an instrument which is used to take horizontal angles. Linear measurements are also taken with chain or tape in compass survey. But compass is an instrument which can measure only horizontal angles. It is more accurate than chain survey. Leveling instrument is used to determine the relative elevations of various points in a vertical plane. It refers to vertical plane. It can measure heights, reduce the levels of different points in a vertical plane. So it includes height of an electric pole, height of an object in the vertical plane, height of a building, height of which is a lighthouse, etc. So it is extremely important in most of the engineering works. It not only measures the heights and reduce levels, it can also establish different points of known elevations. So it is very important in engineering works. We have plane table survey. A map is prepared in field while viewing the terrain and after determining directions and lengths of lines. The advantage of this plane table survey is measurements taking and plotting can be done simultaneously at the site itself. So whereas in other methods, we have to take measurements and we have to come to the office, then we will prepare maps. But in plane table survey, the plotting is simultaneously done along with the measurements. So it is less accurate survey. We have theodolite survey. So this can be classified as traverse survey and triangulation survey, where we will use different with this instrument we can measure horizontal angles as well as vertical angles. So traverse survey means various stations form a polygon and horizontal angles are measured with the help of a theodolite. Linear measurements are made with the help of a tape or chain. In this we have another classification called triangulation survey. The lines form a system of triangles. The baseline is measured accurately and the length of all other lines are computed from the angles. So this is called triangulation survey. Then we have tachometric survey. Tachometer is a special type of theodolite fitted with stadia diaphragm. Whereas in theodolite we have normal diaphragm, we can observe the central crosshair reading. But in tachometer we will use upper and small, upper, central and lower crosshair readings also. So tachometer has to be fitted with a special diaphragm which shows a clear readings regarding to the upper, central and lower crosshairs. So in some cases, a tachometer may be fitted with an electric lens, which is used for minimizing the calculations, which makes the calculations simple. So in detail we will discuss in tachometric class, tachometry survey. So for now, it is just we'll move on to the next part. By taking staff readings, the distances can be calculated by instruments itself. It is a special type of instrument where we cannot use chain or tape. We can directly take linear measurements with the help of instrument itself. So it is very useful in hilly areas where we cannot use chain or tape, or it can be used in areas where undulations are more, where chaining cannot be done properly. So in such cases, tachometric survey is very helpful. It not only helps us to measure horizontal and vertical distances, it also can measure angles like horizontal and vertical angles. It is very similar to theodolite, but it can take instrumental observations, or it can take linear measurements by instrumental observations itself. And we have photogrammetric survey. Till now we have discussed different types of surveys like chain survey, compass survey, leveling, theodolite, and tachometry. These are all the basic surveys which we have to take the measurements by ourselves. But now these are the some of these photogrammetric survey is a type of survey in which measurements are taken with the help of photographs. It is used for obtaining topographical details of areas which are difficult to a regular reach, which means the measurements are taken with the help of photographs, which is called photogrammetric survey. We have different types of photogrammetric surveys, which we will discuss in detail in the advanced surveying subject. EDM survey. EDM denotes electronic distance measurement, which means it is not analog method of taking measurements. It is not direct method of taking measurements. The instrument itself gives us readings. So this electronically, this means this is called electronic distance measurement. Three sides of each triangle are measured accurately with electronic distance measurement instrument. Angles are computed indirectly from the known sides of the triangles. EDM survey. So far we have discussed classifications of survey based on instruments used. So these are some of the instruments used. Chain survey. In chain survey we will use different instruments like arrows, ranging rods, cross staff, etc. for measuring linear measurements. In compass survey, we will use different instruments like ranging rods, arrows, and chain and tape sometimes. So in leveling also we have different instruments like leveling staff, ranging rods, and a level. In plane table survey, we have discussed that it is advantageous over other methods like It can plot and take measurements simultaneously. In plane table survey also there are so many other instruments we will use which we will discuss in the plane table survey lesson. So far we have covered in this class. So far we have covered the main definition of survey, the main purpose of survey, means the objective of surveying. Along with that, we have learned what are the different measurements taken in surveying, like linear measurements and angular measurements. Now, after that, we have classified the different types of classification of surveys based on object of survey and the nature of field survey. We have further classified the survey based on instruments used. So in this class, these are the things we have learned so far. In the next class, we will discuss chain surveying in detail. For today's class, it is over, and I thank you everyone. Thank you. We'll close the session and we will continue in the next class. Thank you.